The bluebells are coming, oh ho ho ho. The bluebells are coming, oh ho.
Oh ho, by the ho hos.
For the what?
I don't know. Hey everybody, hey everybody, welcome back to the Really Useful Podcast, a podcast where we just pretty much a podcast where we come up with really stupid intros, and you guys just stay, and pretty much you guys just listen to dead silence and such. I pretty much I'm your host, Sakura Diesel, and my other co-host right now is just Stun and everything. So pretty much I'm going to take over the Railway series for him. So it's
Hey,
my show now.
no. The really useful podcast is, well, technically we both created it, but it was technically my idea, so I'm the true creator.
Yeah, technically it is your idea and everything. So yeah, but technically I also help too. Pretty much the only thing I do is just say stupid shit and everything, just so we could get the train rolling.
Good pun. But yeah, hey guys, welcome to episode 19, where we're finally gonna be talking about Stepney The Bluebell Engine, but we also got some new illustrators for this book.
Pretty much. We got pretty much a chance of like the Thomas community and everything, especially like for one of the old Thomas fans and everything. Pretty much we're going to be covering one of a fan favorite character in the show, and pretty much for some way a good reason as well too.
Yes, definitely. We're going to be talking about Stepney. Now, Stepney has had a very interesting history. The real engine I'm talking about, not the character.
Pretty much, yeah. Which yeah, technically, if you want to get technical and everything, yes, Stepney is actually the first character that is actually based on a real life engine, literally called Stepney and such.
Yeah, and you can visit Stepney today at the Bluebell Railway, where he's currently on display. Unfortunately, he's not in use because his steam pipe failed in March of 2014. He's currently on static display as we speak.
Well, at the very least, we now know that Stepney can still get a good Stepney can deserve a nice, good long rest, and he can still see his friends working as well too.
Exactly. He's currently waiting overhaul, but he's still there at the Bluebell Railway, and he's gonna be 150 years old next year.
Wow, 150. It's hard to believe, honestly.
He was built in 1875, so and in case anybody doesn't know, he and Thomas are literally cousins because they were built in the same works.
Okay, then actually, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense considering the second story of the book and everything. And actually also makes a lot more sense too considering the TV series. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's go ahead and talk about the history portion of this book.
Yes, so we would love to talk about the history of Stepney the Real Engine, but that's gonna make this episode very long. So we highly recommend checking out this video by Terrier Stepney 55, and he goes in depth into the history of Stepney. You'll see a card on the upper right hand corner of the screen, so make sure to check that out. It's a really good video. I highly recommend it.
Pretty much in this version, we'll just gonna basically give you the clip note version on basically what happened to Stepney in real life and everything.
Yes. Now to remember back in episode what was little in the episode of Little Old Engine that I said that the Brit tried to sue the Bluebell Railway. Well, that was false. That was complete false. It was just a complete lie. Brit came out I think it was last year that she came out and said that that was a complete lie and that she never sued the Bluebell Railway. So yeah, in case anybody thought that was the case, then no, that never happened. So stop trying to blame Brit for that. But basically, the short story of Stepney in the Railway series is that Wilbur took a trip to the Bluebell Railway and he saw Stepney there and he thought, let's take this little engine to Sodor.
Pretty much. That's almost like the nutshell version of it.
Yeah, he basically decided to write a book about Stepney, but before he could do that, he needed to get some new illustrators because if you guys didn't remember, John T. Kennedy had to retire due to poor eyesight. So we're going to talk about the new illustrators for this book, and this is the very first book. We're going to talk about Gumver and Peter Edwards. So, Sekoa, you want to talk about how they got hired?
Alrighty, so basically, at least from what I understand and from what I remember off the top of my head and everything, which I'm sure Barney will go ahead and fill up the gaps and such. So basically, by the time that Wilbur needed a new illustrator, at first a woman named Gumver came up to him and everything, and basically offered to fill John T. Kennedy's shoes to be the illustrator. And Wilbur was just like, "All right, go ahead. I wish you best of luck." And pretty much as soon as Governor was getting ready to draw and everything, getting ready to illustrate, she basically underestimated the scale and everything. I'm pretty much on pretty much the scale of which was
the
required for her.
basically the portraits have to be like 10 by, I think the size is here. Let me see. I think it was 10 by 5 inches, basically. A very small canvas, in other words.
Yes, yes, because like if you recall in the very last episode, like that was also one of the main reasons that John D. Kennedy had to step down. Like pretty much like because of his poor eyesight and everything, he could not really see the small pictures on the canvas and everything that he was being provided with very well up until this point. So that was one of the reasons why he had to retire. And pretty much like the governor also saw that. She was just like, "How am I supposed to do this?" And basically, and
also let me add this right now. The
ahead.
illustration she started to work on, the very first picture. This is confirmed because the Thomas Tank Engine man says it.
Okay.
The very first illustration the governor started to work with was the first illustration of Bowled Out. The one where, yeah, and it was not easy. Looking at the illustration, it was not easy.
I mean, to be fair, pretty much like now that we all know like how really small those pictures were and everything, pretty much I can imagine it will be a nightmare for any artist to try to get it down on the first try and everything.
Yes, indeed. And go ahead. So Governor.
All right. So pretty much, So pretty much as soon as Governor saw it and everything, and pretty much tried to attempt in using pretty much using the paper as ability and everything. Basically, lucky for her, she had she has a husband named Peter and such. And basically, when he saw that like his wife was having a tough time, basically drawing the pictures and everything in the book, that's basically when he stepped in and such. And pretty much as soon as both Governor and Peter show the final work to Wilbert, Wilbert was actually very impressed. Pretty much he was very impressed with the final work, and he was just
Here's what he had to say. Here's what he had to say.
Go ahead.
He drew from life and obviously had an affection for the characters, and he became very fond of him and his family, and their family, I should say.
So pretty much, as I say, the rest is history. So pretty much from here on out until Wilbert has finally retired, pretty much himself has finally retired from writing the books and everything. Governor and Peter are pretty much going to be illustrating the rest of his books throughout season 3.
Except for that one time he came out of retirement, it was illustrated by Clive Spawn, but that's another story.
I mean, yeah. Well, actually, yeah, he came out of retirement 2 times, and pretty much those books were illustrated by Clive Spawn. But again, that's another story. Which one of them we technically did tell in a bit. Way back in the very first season.
In episode 8, yeah, we talked about it in episode 8, which was Thomas and the Missing Christmas Tree, our very first Christmas special.
Or at least Thomas's Christmas party.
My bad. Thomas's Christmas party, my bad.
Well, actually, to be fair, I would honestly, I would be very interested to see, pretty much how Wilbur would actually adapted Missing Christmas Tree to a book.
That would have been interesting. But I still think the story that Christopher did is still fantastic. Either way.
Like I said, it's been a very long time since I read the book version, so I can't really commentate too much on it just yet.
I own it, so you know how it is.
And I do.
And yeah, basically, I think that's it. And also a quick correction: the size of the canvas was 10 by 6. My bad. I said it was 10 by 5. It's 10 by 6. So.
All right. So yeah, 10 by 6, but like I said, still very small.
Very small. Like you can look up Google. You can actually Google the pictures online of the artwork that they basically exhibited at the Terrier Railway, and they're very small. Like we're not even joking. They are small.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, pretty much I believe in everything, and like I said, pretty much I could believe it could be a nightmare for any illustrator to try to draw them, to try to use those canvases to draw for the first time.
Pretty much, definitely. So Stepney. So basically, we're gonna be talking about today. Let me say that again. My bad. Ignore what I said. Take 2. Let me say this again. So yeah, that's basically the backstory to Stepney the Bluebell Engine. There's not much to say on the backstory because it's basically.
Like I said, the backstory to Stepney itself is very long. Pretty much at the very least, we probably could still at least expand on both the Bluebell Railway itself and Stepney a little bit. Pretty much at least from the first 2 stories and everything, and then pretty much we could just go ahead and review the stories in of itself as well too.
Yes, let's just jump into the stories because I don't think there's much to say. The only thing I will say about Stepney, in case, like I said earlier, if you guys want to learn more about the real engine, check out Terrier 55 Stepney's video on Stepney. Stepney,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be on the top right hand corner of your screen. It's a great
It'll
video.
probably and pretty much will probably also be in the description box below.
Yes, I'll also put in the description below in case the little card doesn't work. So yeah. So the only thing I'll say about Stepney is that he had a very lucky life. Very
He
lucky
did.
life.
He did. He pretty much did, and like we're actually going to learn that from the very first story as well too.
Yeah, I'll give away one fun fact is that every time that the real engine was every time the crew thought the engine was gonna be scrapped, suddenly something happened and scrapping the engine was pushed away because they needed him even more. And this will become a trend with Stepney. He's withdrawn out of service. Suddenly something happens. He's back in service. Something happens. He's taken out of service. Once again, he's back in service. And it wasn't until
you know what? Like, based on like what we know about Stephanie in both the books and the TV series, like, pretty much he's not really far off on like what he's actually like in real life.
yeah, and he wasn't withdrawn for real until May of 1960. So he basically had a lifespan of 64 years in terms of working for British Railways, the London Brighton South Coast Railway, London Brighton and South Coast Railway, and even the Southern Railway. So he worked on the three different railway companies. So,
Until finally he had a forever home in the Bluebell Railway.
yes, and you can still see him there today, like we said. So without
Pretty
further
much.
ado, let's get into the stories. So we're gonna go first.
Alrighty, so last time I went first with special funnels, so Barney's gonna go first with the very first story of the book, Bluebells of England.
All right, Bluebells of England. There's not much to say on this story. It's basically Percy and Douglas talk about the Bluebell Railway because Percy's singing about the Bluebells are coming, and Douglas is like, "Oh, what the hell is that? What does this have to do with Bluebells are coming? We have a song called Bluebells of Scotland." But then Percy tells him like the Bluebells of England are different, and they're nice people that want to save engines. And Percy tells him what the Fat Controller told him when Douglas was away, that engines on the other railway aren't safe because their controllers are cruel. They don't like engines anymore, and they basically scrap them, which sadly was happening in real life at that time. Diesels were being introduced at that time, and they did pose a threat to steam engines. And basically, thanks to the 1955 British Railways Modernization Plan, thousands upon thousands of steam locomotives were being withdrawn from service and scrapped, sadly. And then the rest of the story basically is Percy telling Douglas about that Stepney's going to come with his controller, which he looks very similar to the Fat Controller, but I'm getting ahead of myself. And
Wait a minute. Stephanie has a controller? I never really thought about that.
I never actually thought about that, and I'll explain later. But anyway,
Yeah.
and he basically continues telling Douglas about the Bluebell Railway, and basically at the end of the story, just before Stepney arrives, they notice that the platform is crowded, and then I love this about the story. Douglas says, "Silly, how can I look unless I be a corkscrew?"
You know what? That's actually very clever writing on Wilbur's part. So GG on that one.
Yeah, it's GG. I was laughing my ass off when I read that for the first time.
Honestly, it just sounds so blunt when Douglas says that, but like it really fits his character down to a T and everything. Honestly, it kind of makes me wish that like he said that in the TV series. Honestly,
Me too. That'd be so funny. That'd be so funny. But yeah,
look, squeak Percy,
the station.
silly. How do we look unless we all be corkscrews?
Why have they all come? There's no train, and they basically the signal drops,
And then basically, yeah, single drops. Here comes Stephanie.
and then the story's over. That's Bluebells of England. Yeah, like I said,
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, there's not much to listen. There's not much to say on this story. It's basically Wilbur's way of telling people about the Bluebell Railway, but in like a
Pretty much, it's just like Wilbur's way of like introducing like what the Bluebell Railway is, not only to the engines on Sodor, but also in real life as well too, and basically what their purpose is as well. Basically what the purpose is as well.
exactly. And honestly, the main highlight of the story for me is Percy and Douglas interacting. Like, I love that. Those two characters, it was Percy was the one forced to basically have a deputation for Donald and Douglas, and seeing the two interact is, really, really exciting, to be honest.
I mean, honestly, yeah, it is very nice, and again, sadly, this is something we really don't see in a TV series too much anymore. Like, pretty much the only other time that like Percy ever interacted with the twins again was well, actually no, he did that 2 times actually. One time was in the haunted mines. And actually very fitting as well too. Like he actually interacts with them again in Haunted Castle.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, yeah. So basically,
So,
Percy.
so pretty much we had 2 haunted stories where like Percy interacted with the Scottish twins, except pretty much in one version the Scottish twins scare Percy, and then in another version Percy scared the twins.
Oh, Percy.
You know what? You know what? Whoever was writing those episodes and everything, like, honestly, I can't tell if that was done intentional or pretty much they were just lucky.
I guess they were lucky because unless they were written by the same person, I'll have to verify that later. But it's still kind of
Yeah.
hilarious either way.
I mean, yeah, it is pretty much. Pretty much, I just like to pitch. Pretty much, I like to picture Percy. Like the first time he saw Donald Douglas, and pretty much they told Percy where he was going. Percy's just like, payback time for scaring me now.
Oh God, Percy. But yeah, Percy. I love Percy a lot. But yeah, another thing I really, really love about the story is how suddenly dark it becomes. Like with that illustration about engines being scrapped.
Oh
Oh
yeah, like I said, like, pretty much from the second page and everything, like, pretty much like from here on forward and everything, pretty much Wilbur is not fucking around anymore in terms of like letting people know that like yeah, like nothing's gonna last forever, not even steam engines. Pretty much even steam engines like cannot escape death, no matter how hard they want to try.
yeah, unfortunately, this was due to the modernization plan, like I said, because in that modernization plan, they're basically one of the main focuses of that plan was to basically there was going to be more dieselization and steam locomotives were about to be reduced. Actually, Britain was one of the very last countries, as far as I'm aware, that got rid of steam engines altogether. Because America got rid of them pretty quickly. Like I think in the 1930s.
Yeah, that is. That is very true. Because yeah, pretty much growing up all my life in America and everything, like the only real time I ever saw like a quote unquote steam engine is like whenever I went to like the Day Out with Thomas events and such. Pretty much any time after that, it was just pretty much all diesel engines, or at least some kind of form of like, or at least some kind of form of like like one of those electric engines and such.
Yeah, pretty much. So America got rid of them pretty quickly. In Britain, it wasn't until 1968 that they finally got rid of them altogether. Which
Although there are still some steam engines you can see on some British railways, just not definitely not as much as it was back in those days.
pretty much the only way you can see them is in heritage railways, where like the Bluebell Railway, for example, like those.
Pretty much, which yeah, so pretty much yeah, it all comes back to the Bluebells.
And the story says that Stepney was the very first engine the Bluebell Railway saved. That is true, but he's also the very first standard gauge engine to be saved.
Pretty much, yeah.
For the railway at least.
Yes, pretty much. Which yeah, so pretty much sorry, Rusty, you pretty much you did not save Stepney in real life. The pretty much real people save Stepney in real life.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's get into the differences between this story and Rusty to the Rescue. That was one of the differences.
Yeah.
Is that the main difference is that the representatives of the Bluebell Railway actually were the ones that actually saved Stepney, not Rusty.
Yeah, and pretty much like yeah, in the TV series, like pretty much technically there is a Bluebell Railway, but it's not really the same Bluebell Railway as it is in real life and everything. Pretty much like pretty much changed to the TV series. Like it's just a very short like a piece of line that's usually operated by both Stephanie and Rusty and everything. So like it's not really as much a Bluebell Railway as it is just a part of a railway that just needed another engine and everything.
Yeah, and it's very short compared to the real Bluebell line. It's very short, like much
Pretty
shorter.
much, yeah. So I mean, like at least in the TV series, somebody has every right to complain about his line being short.
Exactly, not in the book, because in the book, because in real life, it's much longer than that. So
Yeah.
So I don't have too much to say on Bluebells of England. There's one little criticism I have of the story is that this story just kind of feels like just like information rather than a story.
The story in a sort of sense, yeah.
But the thing that really saves the story for me is Percy and Douglas interacting. That's the highlight for me. And the dark tone that it takes suddenly, I also appreciate it. And honestly, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have too much to say on the story, so I'm just gonna give my rating right out of the gate. I'm gonna give Bluebells of England. This might be shocking. A seven.
Go ahead.
A seven.
Hmm. Okay. Actually, that's still actually pretty decent and everything.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
wait,
for me,
wait,
I
wait,
really.
wait, 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 wait. I
Oh, go ahead.
almost forgot one thing. My bad.
What?
Let's talk about the illustrations. Holy crap! Let's.
Like we said, like pretty much Governor and Peter, like pretty much for the not even just the very first book, but for the very first story, like they, really, like they really proven their worth to be like pretty much almost the same, or at least some people can argue even better than Kenny in some places,
You know,
especially when it came to the trains themselves.
looking at the very first illustration, because I got the book. I got the book right next to me right now. Looking at the first illustration with Percy and Douglas, already like wow, the proportions are so perfect, and Gumber and Peter nailed their proportions very well. And look at the illustration they did of the Bluebell. Like you know that illustration where Stepney and
Yeah, pretty much. Where like, honestly, I'm assuming Stephanie and someone else,
yeah, Stepney someone
yeah,
else.
okay. But yeah, looking at that illustration, even seeing the perspective as well too, like it is very good. Although me personally, like one of my highlights, at least in terms of like illustration, this book is pretty much the one where like Stephanie's actually like coming on over to the island of Soda while pretty much like passing the lines of Diesels, just pretty much just looking at him and just waiting for him to do something wrong so they can catch him.
Yeah, that's a really good highlight. That's another highlight for me, especially since you know by that time you know, according to the engines, this is from the. I think I take that illustration as the engines perspective because they're so angry. Like they notice one steam
Pretty
engine
much.
and it's like warning, warning,
Warning. Intruder alert.
intruder alert, not a diesel steam engine. You better catch him. You know, because
Yeah,
that was what was happening at the time. Diesels were new and they pose a threat to steam engines, and we're gonna see that
pretty.
in later books, especially book 23.
Oh yeah, honestly, yeah. Both book 23 and pretty much a little bit of 24 if you want to get technical, but not really.
Yeah, it's
Honestly, yeah. Like the more I think about it, like pretty much book 23 is the book where pretty much like the biggest conflict on like Stevens versus Diesel is going to come into play. But then at the very least, when we get to like Chris's books, you could definitely see that like both steam engines and even diesel engines are starting to take a more nuanced, definitely a more nuanced approach about the situation and everything.
definitely, and yeah, you know, for the first story they illustrated, it's really good. Like we're already starting on the good territory in terms of illustrations. But yeah, go ahead, man.
We are.
Talk about Bluebells of England. While you do that, I'm gonna go get some water.
Okay. But yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like I said, in terms of me of Bluebells of England and everything. Yes, the story is pretty much like how it was in Scarlovi Remembers and everything. It's just pretty much more information drop. Pretty much like setting you up for like what the Bluebells Railway is like and everything, and like where Stephanie fits into the picture and everything. But I think Wilbur actually does a lot more better of a job, like introducing both Stephanie and the Bluebell Railway in this book as well too. Because for one, like it's nice and short and everything. Like pretty much like Wilbur doesn't go into like pretty much he doesn't go into like too much detail about what the Bluebell Railway is like just yet and everything. Pretty much he gives you just enough information about like what's going on in real life and everything. And pretty much like once he gives you enough information, then he's just like, okay, so now here's where Stephanie comes into play and like why he's coming to Sodor and everything. And yeah, pretty much like the way like Stephanie's introduced so far, at least in terms of like information drop and everything, it's actually not all too bad and such. Now I do understand like why Britt and David like basically like wanted to like change. Pretty much not only change up the story and everything, but pretty much like make it like an original story altogether and everything. Because pretty much like one, yeah, because pretty much like we said, yeah. For one reason, and everything, yeah, pretty much. So the first story is very dark, and pretty much as Barney stated and everything, it's pretty much going to set this. It's pretty much going to set like the little theme about like about like the intense rivalry between diesels and steam engines, seeing that so far up until this point, definitely in Britain and everything. Pretty much, diesel engines have now really posed a threat to steam engines and everything. And pretty much, you could honestly, you can really feel that in the engines and everything. Like, pretty much when you read about how Percy was just so saddened about learning that other railway controllers is basically cutting up engines like nothing and everything. Pretty much, you can really feel that darkness. You can really feel that sadness coming towards Percy.
Especially
And
that illustration, especially when you look at that illustration where you see a cutter, about to cut the engine.
Pretty much, and honestly, to give some props to not only really Russian and everything, honestly, I think Michelangelo's also did honestly, he did like a very decent job of making Percy really sound heartbroken. Learning that pretty much engines can die pretty much at the will of any controller whenever they want to and such. So
Yeah.
Yeah, both of them do a really good job on portraying that emotion, and especially with the way when you read this next line about Douglas saying that diesels are all devils and such, you honestly, you really feel that anger in honestly, yeah, every time I read that patches and everything, I felt that anger in Douglas's voice. I mean, you really feel that anger coming towards him, man. And honestly, some would say for a right reason as well too.
I'd be on his side, because if I was alive back then, I'd be on the rails protesting, about about the modernization.
Pretty much, because pretty much don't forget, pretty much the main reason why he ran away with Dawn to begin with was because if he did not live on the island of Sodor, he was going to go back and he might have been scrapped as well too because of the diesels and everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, you do understand his frustration and anger and everything. Just hearing Percy telling Douglas that steam engines are not going to be safe anymore. Pretty much, they're all going to be gone one by one and such.
Yeah, which is very sad to be honest. Which is very sad.
It is. Pretty much, it is very sad and such. But yeah, and everything. Let's see. Is there anything else that? Honestly, Bonnie and I were actually talking about this, going more with TV series real quick and everything. But pretty much, like I said, I do understand. Like I said, the darkness being one of the main reasons. I can see why Britt and David want a more original story and everything. And pretty much another reason why I can also see them wanting to change the story a little bit. It's because pretty much at this point in timeline and everything, pretty much most of the kids anywhere around the world and such pretty much already knows that there's no more steam engines around the world. So I mean, you could make an argument that you could make an argument about the theme of diesels posing a threat to steam engines pretty much really wouldn't work as much as it did back then, because like I said, steam engines were already gone up until that point anyway by the time the TV series came out. And so, and pretty much you also know too that at this point, pretty much as the song says and everything, Shataba Mad has no favoritism. So pretty much he's gonna make sure that any engine is welcome to stay here. So as long as they want to work hard and such. So pretty much I can also see why they would also pretty much make an original story to where Rusty wants to save Stepney. In some way, because I've heard some people defending the TV series version of it, saying that pretty much it is actually very interesting to see a diesel named Rusty wanting to save a steam engine, because pretty much you think it would be steam engine wanting to save another steam engine, but no, Rusty wants to save a steam engine because again he's that much of a nice guy and everything. And I mean on paper it does sound good and everything, because pretty much compared to the last two seasons and everything, especially with season 2 with Diesel and everything, pretty much in some of the stuff in the show, we can't see how nasty diesels can be at times and everything. So to have a very good diesel and everything, wanting to save a steam engine out of the kindness of the heart and everything, it's a very good premise. I won't lie. Go ahead, Barney. You can go ahead and say this.
No, I was just fixing my microphone because it stopped working while you were talking, and I was trying to speak and the microphone wasn't working. But keep going. I was just testing it out.
But pretty much pretty much I can understand why some people, defend an episode as it is, and yeah, like I said, the episode itself, like, it's still not a bad episode, and I mean, pretty much, like, it still borrows it still borrows some elements from like Bluebells of England with like Percy with Douglas, or like pretty much Stephanie and Rusty going to the island of Sora, passing diesels and everything. So I feel like it does, like, in a way, like. They do still adapt the story in a way as best they could and everything.
They did a good job either way, honestly, because especially when during the scene where Rusty and Stepney are escaping, you see that big ass moon, beautiful.
Pretty much, and yeah, like, you could definitely, yeah, you could feel that. Pretty much the music also helps too, feeling that, like, yeah, Rusty has pretty much accomplished his mission, and pretty much, like, you both cheer for him and Stephanie for, like, getting out of there in time and everything.
Yeah, pretty much. But honestly, I still like Bluebells of England. It might feel, like I said, the main criticism I have with the story is that it feels more information than an actual story. But either way, I still love it. I still love it because of Douglas and Percy's interactions.
Yeah, pretty much like Douglas and Percy's interaction, and yeah, like I said, like pretty much for an introduction story, like at the very least, it's short enough to where, like, it didn't feel like it dragged on too much and everything. Like I said, pretty much like Wilbur gave you enough information that you needed to know, and pretty much as soon as you saw Stephanie coming over, like pretty much I thought like he did like a very good job on like introducing Stephanie to where you're just like, all right, well, let's see what Stephanie is going to do on the island soda and everything, and yeah, like I said, the interactions and everything with Percy and Douglas, very hilarious, very like just very good overall and such. So yeah, I think I'm just repeating myself at this point and everything. So. For me, I'm actually gonna go a little bit more one rating higher than you, and actually give this first story an 8. Honestly,
I'm still pretty happy with that rating. I respect your rating. I'm still very happy with it either way.
Yeah. All right. Well, here we go. With the second story of Stepney the Bluebell Engine. Here we go with Stepney Special.
Take it away.
Alrighty. Okay, so with 70 Special, first we start. Okay, so the first half of 70 Special, we actually do see Stephanie talking with Edward, which actually this is another pairing that I noticed that, like, even in the TV series, pretty much even in the TV series, I actually really love to pair like Stephanie with Edward up whenever they get the chance. Which honestly, when you kind of think about it, like it does make sense. Like pretty much the two definitely do make like a very good pairing because like. I mean, like, they're both very old engines, and like they're both engines that like to work hard as best they can.
And both were built. Both were built in the 19th century, so that also makes sense.
Pretty much. The only real main difference, like, I think that also works off with both Stephanie and Edward and everything, is that like, pretty much with Edward and everything, you do feel like he is old. Like, pretty much like, pretty much even if Edward can still like shunt or pull coaches or like do any work and everything. You definitely can feel the old fashionedness inside him, and pretty much even Edward admits that like that pretty much yeah, like, there are some works that like he just can't do anymore like he used to and everything. But honestly with Stephanie and everything, like yeah, Stephanie's old, but honestly, if you would have told me that like Stephanie was made in like 20th century and everything, if Stephanie was built in the 20th century and such.
1875. It was built in 1875.
But I'm just using this as an example.
Okay.
Pretty much I'm using it as an example that, like, if you would have told me that like Stephanie was made in the 20th century or at least hell, if he was made in the 1950s, I would definitely believe you because like pretty much even as a kid, everything, just the way that like both Wilbur and even in the TV series like portrays Stephanie and everything. He doesn't really feel older, or actually doesn't really look that old and everything. Like, pretty much, especially as we're going to see in the story and everything as well, too. Like, pretty much for an old engine, like, he has a lot of energy, and I do mean a lot of energy and such. Especially when compared to like all the other old engines, like Rheneas, Scarloey, Edward, and even Toby as well, too. Like, like pretty much like Stephanie could still pull. Pretty much, he could still pull. He could still do like. All the other stuff steam engines can do, and pretty much you never honestly you never really feel like he is that old. You don't ever get the sense that like he's ever going to break down or at the very least that like something bad is going to happen and everything. Like I said, pretty much for an old engine, he has like a lot of energy to him that you just can't help but admire him. Like at the end of the day, and at the end of the day and everything. And I mean it's just one of those where it's just like sometimes you sometimes you wish you had that same energy that Stepney has when it comes to like doing work and such.
I wish I had that same personality.
Yeah, pretty much the same type of same type of energy that Stepney has and such. And honestly, thinking on it more and everything, I think that's actually one of the reasons. Like, I think that's one of the reasons why like he has so many fans and everything as well too. Because like I said, like for an old engine, he has like pretty much he has a lot of spunk, he has a lot of energy and everything, and pretty much like pretty much you also can't help but like but to feel good every time like you see his chipper attitude and like pretty much loving life the way it is and everything as well too. Like pretty much every time that like you see Stepney, you get nothing but good vibes from that engine.
Even the Bluebell Railway adores him, and they now have something called the Stepney Club, which is basically the railway's a fan club for kids.
Nice. I mean, like to be fair, he deserves one. Honestly, Stepney honestly does deserve a fan club to himself.
I agree. He definitely deserves one.
Yeah, but pretty much. So going back to the plot synopsis and everything. So pretty much the first half.
I'd rather hear you talk about Stepney than the synopsis. But keep going.
I mean, to be fair, I think even Edward would like probably want me to talk more about Stepney than the synopsis and everything, but I still gotta talk about it.
Keep going.
So pretty much the first half of the story and everything, like pretty much just more information drop. But instead, like it's told by Stepney and everything. So pretty much Stepney fills Edward in about like how he was saved the first time and everything. And pretty much how the rest of the engines were also saved and preserved on the Bluebell Railway as well too. So pretty much he gets to talk more about his friends and everything, what they do. And Edward is just like, Stepney, I'm sure you're a nice engine and everything, but I got these passengers here, my coaches, and I'm pretty sure if I don't leave the station, I'm going to be very late. And Stepney's like, you want to know about the Bluebell Railway or not? And yes,
that's what I wanted to hear. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you very much.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah. Barney really brought up a good point about this as well too. Honestly, like I think Edward is just like pretty much just trying to play the nice engine and like letting Stepney ramble on and everything. But he's probably one of those people where it's just like, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's nice. Could you go away now, please?
Yes, he's basically a yes man in this story. A yes man. I'd be frightened too, or of
pretty
course
much.
Not. Controller. We just give names to four.
Yeah. Can you get rid of this engine, please? Can you get rid of this engine, please? Right now he's coming way too close to my comfort right now. Please get him away. But yeah. But honestly, it would have been a very good moment right here just to have the controller come out and say anything at this point and such. But
it drags on. Like unlike the last story where it was short, but you still enjoyed it because of Douglas and Percy's interactions. The first half on this one feels so boring that I was sitting on my
honestly honestly drag on, yes, but I'm gonna slightly disagree with you on that one a little bit, but I'm gonna save it until like until I finish
my bad. Keep going.
It's okay. But pretty much, yeah. So pretty much after this, the second half of the story is just pretty much Stepney visiting the main line, and pretty much now he makes a new best friend with a duck and such. And pretty much together, they help Sean coaches in the yard. They meet Thomas, who comes to the station for some reason. And pretty much as soon as Thomas leaves, and everything, that's when like a commotion started in the big yard. And it turns out this one person needed to get home very badly and everything. Okay. So here's my guess. He probably wanted to get home very badly and everything. Because if he did not return home and everything, then his wife was probably going to make him sleep on the couch and everything. And pretty much he did not want that to happen again for the third time.
Or I could also see a medical emergency with a family member. That also works.
Well, you know what? Yeah, that also works. Regardless and everything, yeah. So because that one passenger needed to get home, very quickly and everything as well too. Basically just forced Thomas and everything to wait on the siding and such until Stepney's patch. And Thomas is actually very cross and everything because just like, how dare he make my passengers wait? But as soon as Stepney starts kissing his buffers and everything, Thomas is just like, pretty much. yeah, pretty much the next morning, Thomas just like,
I'm sorry, Your Majesty. No, Stemmy's like, I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I'm very sorry.
I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. Pretty much, had I known that like you were gonna get a TV series all to yourself and everything, I never would have taken your rails. Please forgive me. And Thomas, pretty much, Thomas is just like, you live for now. But honestly, no. Actually, what really happened and everything as well too. Another funny scenario. So pretty much Thomas at first, at the very next morning and everything, pretty much you're just like, I hate that yellow engine. If he ever comes to the stair, I'm gonna end up kicking his butt. And then Stephanie comes in here and being like, oh, and then pretty much Stephanie comes to his house and everything, and pretty much after explaining himself, pretty much he flatters Thomas and everything by calling Thomas a quote unquote expert. Pretty much it inflates Thomas's ego enough to where he's just like, actually, you know what? You're cool. How about I tell you? Actually, Stephanie, you know what? Since you wanted to waste Edward's precious time telling about your branch line, I'm gonna waste your time about telling as I tell you all about my branch line.
Talk about fucking karma. Awesome.
Pretty much. Actually, you know what? I kind of wish we would have saw that interaction and everything. Cause pretty much I could also picture Stephanie look at Toby and Percy, and both Toby and Percy is just like, just let him go. pretty much he'll come to his senses.
Yeah, let him go. He'll come to his senses.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was 70 special and everything, and so yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you on this one. Like, Stepney Special is one of those stories where, like, honestly, I am very torn on this story and everything because I mean, yes, like, on the one hand, does the first half drag out enough and everything to where like, to where like the second half also feels a little bit rushed and jumbled at times? Yes. Pretty.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, pretty much, I will admit that, like, when you read a story like critically and everything, like, pretty much just like, you know, Bonnie said, pretty much because like the first half of the story is just pretty much like, pretty much Wilbur using his time to like, basically explain what the Bluebell Railway is and everything, or at least like explain the other engines.
Which is not a bad thing. Which is not a bad thing. Obviously,
it's not. It's definitely not a bad thing. I mean, like, to be honest, like. I actually do kind of like this first half in a sort of way and everything, like, because like pretty much like, you know, because pretty much once again, like, you know, we get some very great illustrations and everything from Governor and Peter like when looking at the real life engines and everything, and I mean, like, honestly, some of those real life engines look very cool in my opinion, especially Captain Baxter and everything, like, pretty much Baxter is one of those engines where like. It's one of those engines where it's just like, you know, he just looked very cool when drawn and everything. And like, honestly, when you see him in real life and everything, like, again, I gotta give props to both Governor and Peter and everything. They did a very good job putting him in the book and everything.
And also as well, Bluebell and Primrose as well. The twins.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And yeah, let it be known, folks, that now we found another engine outside of Duncan that also curses as well too.
Yeah. I was actually thinking that when I was reading the book, I was like, wait until we film the episode, because I was gonna bring up that joke. So pretty much now we found two engines that could curse if they actually wanted to and everything. But yeah, so pretty much, at least in terms of like the first half of the story, like, while it does drag on and everything, I will admit and such, like, pretty much the information, like, pretty much the information that Wilbur does give and everything, there's still some plenty of like very good and cute moments in that little interaction between like Stephanie and Edward and everything that like it saves it for me just a little bit and everything. But I will admit, by the time we get to the second half of the story and everything, the second half is really where the story really falls for me, in my opinion, because pretty much like because the first half was pretty much wasted and like learning more about like the engines and everything. The second half, like, pretty much when you read it and everything, like, honestly, the second stuff is literally just a bunch of stuff happening in the railway and everything. And it actually goes by quickly enough that, like, pretty much, like, it very much loses its chance to, like, try for us in the audience to, like, try to get to Stephanie more as best we can and everything. And not only that, like, pretty much I kind of feel like, you know, the second half, like,
honestly, it would have been a very good way to at least like get to know a little bit more about like Stephanie's controller and such as well too. Like, like honestly, like I felt like it should have been a scene where like Stephanie's controller could talk to the fat controller for a little bit, and then pretty much like they both arranged, they have Stephanie take the special and everything as well too, along with like along with Doug also put in a good word and have Stephanie take the special as well too. So with the second half of the story and everything, it does feel jumbled and such that pretty much like when reading it and everything, like, and again, if you're looking at it like from a critical lens and everything as well too,
because on its own, if you read it for fun, it's still good, but a critical.
It is like it is like that's one of the reasons why like I'm torn on the story as well too, because like pretty much at the end of the day, like it's not a bad story per se and everything. But critical wise and everything, like just the way at least it was structured and such, I do really see some people having some problems with the story here and there, and again, especially with the second half as well too, because like I said, a lot of stuff happened and everything, and like pretty much Thomas is pretty much just another situation where like it feels like that like Wilbur just like slapped Thomas in right in the last minute and everything, and it pretty much because he doesn't really have that much interaction with Stephanie except towards the end and such. You really don't really feel the connection that strongly when compared to the TV series as well.
I get used to Thomas in the story because this is the last time he speaks up until the very last book.
I mean, yeah, that's also a very good point. And not only does he speak, but not only that, but I do believe this is actually the very last story, at least until like the last book. But this is the very last story. We're actually going to see Thomas, period, and such.
Well, except for one illustration in book 21, but that was only a cameo. That doesn't count as an appearance.
Oh wait, yeah. Actually, yeah, no, you're right. I think you're right about that. I might have to read that book one more time, but I think you are right about that. Actually, no, yeah, you're right. I think in the very first illustration, I think you do see him in Wrong Road, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Then pretty much as Barney said and everything, then yes. So even though this is the last speaking role Thomas will get, this will not be his last appearance just yet and such. But pretty much like I said, yeah. So like I said, when compared to the TV series and everything, like you don't really feel the strong connection like between Thomas and Stephanie. And again, this is one of the a few times where like pretty much I believe that like both Britt and David actually did make the right move on like changing the story up a bit and make it and actually do make it a bit more Thomas focused as well too. Because yeah, now that Barney mentioned that like that Stephanie and Thomas are actually cousins and everything, it actually does make a lot of sense to like have these two paired up as well, and pretty much like having Thomas being just a little jealous that like. Pretty much everyone is talking about Stephanie's branch line, but not his and everything. It actually does feel like it makes for a much better dynamic, and actually does give Thomas and Stephanie a much better way to like communicate with each other than how it was in the book and such.
Yeah, pretty much, definitely.
Yeah. So for me, I think that's really all I have to say on it. Like, it's still a fine story for what it is at the end of the day. I don't really like hate it or anything or call it a bad story. And to be honest, like even with the conflict, the story does present itself and everything. It's not really all that bad enough to me because, like, at the end of the day, I still enjoy the story for where it is, and actually, you know what? I enjoy it so much that I'm actually that honestly, I'm gonna give it a 6. Honestly, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10.
All right, that's a fair enough rating. I will say that. Well, to me, like you said that you like the first half and then you don't like the second half. I'm vice versa. I don't like the first half at all because I think the first half drags on for a little bit too much, and I'm sitting here going, can we move on to the second half, please? But then after we get to the second half, yeah, Thomas comes out of nowhere. Let's be real.
He does pretty much. Wilbur's just like pretty much as soon as like the second half just started, Wilbur just pretty much dumps a lot of information onto you right in the second half. Pretty much it starts with like Stephanie and Duck like shunting together and everything, and then Wilbur's just like, oh yeah, Thomas was here too, but he ran away at the very last second. But then he comes back again. In the end, and that's about it.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, this story to me, it's not bad, like you said, and like I said, if you read it on its own, it's fine. It's somewhat of a okay story, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it wastes so much time, and the fact that there's like too much information trying to be shoved down your throat so quickly. I'm like, okay, calm down. Let me just absorb the story first of all.
Yeah.
So, but for me, all right. So everything I was gonna say. So I'll just say this real quickly, and I just
Go
love
ahead.
the thing that really saves the story for me is Thomas and Sydney interacting, and that illustration of Thomas. Like, oh yeah, I'm the fucking king. I'm the fucking king of this bridge line.
I mean, pretty much. Like, pretty much that is the face. I mean, pretty much that is the face of someone. It's just like, you know what? You know what? I am fucking awesome, aren't I?
I am the fucking king of this goddamn bridge line, and you better respect me, motherfucker.
You better respect me and kiss my buffers.
I also love that illustration where Thomas is held up and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" You see his face.
Pretty much. Which again, honestly, which again, like that's another situation where like pretty much like the TV series actually does a very good job, like pretty much capturing that scene like from beginning to end and everything.
Oh yeah, especially when Stepney pops by with the express coaches. That
Pretty
was
much,
awesome.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't have too much to say on the story. Like I said, it's just that it just so much information being shoved down our throats pretty quickly. Like you basically like feel overwhelmed with how much information is being said to you. But the
Yeah.
second half does save the story for me, and you know what? I'm also gonna give it a 6. You've convinced me. You persuaded
Oh,
me.
okay. Okay. To be honest, I was ready to expect a 4 or 5, 5 out of you, but a 6 as well. Okay,
Yeah,
not bad.
yeah, because
All right.
a little behind the scenes, guys, if you didn't know, we talked this in private, but I was originally gonna give the story a 4 because I felt like it was.
He was, and pretty much Barney was ready to give it a 4. He was ready to give it a 4, but he did tell me that like there is a slight chance that he might bump it up to a 5 as well.
But I think what you said is exactly what I was gonna say. So and I agree with you. I agree with everything you said. So I think a 6 would do for me. And before we move on to the next story, let's talk about the Bluebell, little Bluebell incident with the merchandise. I think
All
you know
right,
where
go
I'm
right
going
ahead.
with this. So you guys know Bluebell, the character that's in one of the illustrations.
Yes.
Well, they made an Erdl. There was an Erdl diecast made of her, and the
Mm-hmm.
the prototype for the character was going to be like the way you see it in the illustrations. But
Okay.
but I want you to look up Bluebell's Erdl diecast. Look it up.
You said Bluebell's Erdl.
Yeah, Bluebell or Erdl. Yeah, and tell me, does she look similar to someone we know? The diecast model. I mean.
Hold on. Erdl prototype. Okay, let me take a look. Uh, oh. Okay. It does look a little bit like Thomas.
Yes, they used the same model for Thomas for Bluebell,
Ah, interesting.
and the prototype. I don't know. You look at the prototype. She looks more like the illustrations. I guess they did that to save money, but either way, kind of bizarre, really bizarre.
To be fair, like, honestly, it really is. Like, honestly, like, yeah. Look at all these toys. Like, honestly, like, I think Erdl has done like a lot of like Railway series characters when compared to like, pretty much when compared to like the other merchandises that Thomas had in the past and
Yeah,
everything.
unfortunately, the bad thing about Erdl is that they got discontinued in the U.S. 2 years before they
Mm-hmm.
actually discontinued the whole Thomas merchandise because
Yeah.
because of Take Along. You remember Take Along?
Yes, I remember Take Along.
Well, unfortunately, Take Along was starting to sell well, and they decided to discontinue it so as to not confuse the range. But in the
Right.
UK, it survived until 2004, just before the season 8 came out. Just before season 8
Nice.
came out. And do you want to know who was the very last character they made for the range?
Which one?
Jock.
Really
Jock
interesting.
was the last character that was made for the range before it was discontinued.
Nice.
And I think they went out with a bang because they put a really good focus on Railway series characters. Ertl is as far as I'm aware, Ertl is the only range that has done more Railway series characters than any other Thomas range.
Yes, I believe you are right about that because that is actually going to be evident once we get to the very next book of the Railway series and such.
Pretty much, pretty much. So yeah, now that we got the Bluebell incident, merchandise incident out of the way, let's move on to the third story of the book, and actually one of my favorite stories from the TV series.
All right, go ahead.
Train stops play. All right, so in this story, we start off with Stepney telling Thomas, Toby, and Percy about that they're very lucky to have a branch line, that they have a quarry, they have passengers, and the trucks that he worked on his line were fun, but Percy's like, huh? So you think trucks are fun, huh? Well, you can take some of mine if you want.
Which again proves my point about like I said, Stephanie may be old, but he has a lot of energy and and pretty much again just a positive just a positive attitude he has with just almost about anything, including trucks. Again, like I said, there's no reason why like he's so very popular with again not only kids but even the engines on Sodor themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. Like every engine respects him, as far as I'm aware. Every engine from Soda respects him. So yeah, they ask permission to take some trucks, and they go away to the.
First they go to Fargore, and I do remember that like to take him over to the harbor and such.
Yeah, and then he comes back to the harbor, and while on his way back to the branch line, he stops by a cricket field where a cricket match has just begun. And Stemi stops to do a signal, but some cricketers come to him and say like, can you move a little bit, please? It's just that you're blocking the back path, and so they move a little bit forward, and so the game resumes, and then suddenly the batsman hits the ball a little bit too high to the point where the ball lands on the third truck, but the Stemi and his crew don't notice, and they just go away. And the cricketers are like, wait, you got our ball, but Stemi doesn't hear it because he's too busy. So the cricketers jump into this very old car from 1916 called Caroline, and Caroline.
And pretty much, let's just say Caroline is not thrilled about being used to chase a train.
Yeah, pretty much. Caroline is one of those old cars where if you go too fast, then she's gonna overheat, and she's not very pleased about that. So Thomas and Bertie Part 3 begins. The cricketers try and chase Stepney. Stepney's not going too fast, but the cricketers shout and wave at the crew. But the crew misinterprets their shoutings as they want to race. And so they're like, huh, they want to race? They'll get one. Go! So he advances the regular.
Stephanie.
So he advances the regular, and Stepney goes much faster. And Caroline is even not pleased at all. She's like, Master Sergeant Tranquilizers. Why don't feel so my sockets? And then Stemi goes into a tunnel, and Caroline's like, yippee! That stupid train has got away. Now Master's gonna have to be sensible and go home.
And Master's just like, you wanna try me, bitch?
And he hits the gas, and he makes Caroline climb that hill furiously. So they
pretty much he does that so much that Caroline is now broken down.
Yeah, so they arrive at the siding where Stemi has just shunted the trucks. And the cricketers explain what happened, and then they find the ball in the third truck, and then the driver apologizes for what they did, but it was an accident. So the cricketers forgive them, and now they say now we have to get back, but the driver's like, there's no way in hell you're gonna get back at Caroline. Look at her, she's worn out. You basically broke her down, bitch. Wait a second.
Pretty much. Pretty much, I like to think that, as soon as Stephanie's driver said that, Caroline just looks at them, just be like, "Gee, you think?"
Yes. But then the driver has an idea, and they basically put Caroline in a flatbed, and the cricketers go back in the brake van. They go back to the field, and the game is played normally. Normal lost balls, and the game was played to an exciting finish. But even Caroline is like, "Huh? I guess trains aren't that silly now. They have their uses." And they can save my ass if I break down again.
Pretty much.
And that's Train Stops Playing. So right off the back, I'm gonna say that while the book version isn't bad, it's still good. I don't know. I just prefer the TV version more. because they really the thing that really I enjoy about the TV version is the chase first of all, and also the visuals of when the batsman hits the ball and the ball goes to the sky. And well, I also enjoyed the beginning scene in the TV series where in the TV episode where Stemmy's talking to Thomas, Percy, and Toby. I just love that scene. But other than that, I don't have too much to say on Train Stops Play. I love Caroline. I think Caroline is an underrated character. She should get more recognition.
Honestly, same. Like, pretty much at the very least, that pretty much at the very least, she did get at least one more screen time with pretty much like Lady Hat's birthday party and everything, which honestly, like, is kind of dark, but actually, maybe the real reason that we don't see Caroline anymore. Maybe it's because like Shatama had actually never went back and actually saved Caroline to begin with. Pretty much, I like to imagine that like as soon as like he and Lady Hat got home, like pretty much Shatama had just took a look at his wife. He's just like, dear, I can't forget that I forgot something very important. No, I guess it wasn't that important anyway.
And then just being scrapped.
Honestly, it's either she's being scrapped or she's either being scrapped or honestly, pretty much that like maybe she overheated so much that like she started catching on fire.
Not surprised about that, but yeah, she should get more recognition, honestly, because honestly, we only see her once in the books, and for her only appearance, I think she's very funny, especially when she thinks she has won, but her master's like nope, and makes her climb up the hill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have too much to say on Train Stops Play, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give my rating. The book version, while not as good as the TV version, I think the TV version is much superior. I think I think the book version for me is still good, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7 as well.
Okay. All right. So for me and such, pretty much Train Stops Play. I'm in the same boat as you, and that honestly, I really don't have too much to say on the story and everything, and I'm gonna be honest. In terms of like the stories in this book, this is honestly the weakest one for me, to be honest and everything. Because so pretty much like in terms of Train Stops Play, honestly, this is the weakest story to me. In terms of like this book and everything. Which again, it's not a very bad story at the end of the day and everything. It's just one of those stories where it's just like it's very simple and everything, and that like there's not really too much you could say on the story in of itself and everything, which I mean, the action does happen. Like as soon as we get to meet Caroline and everything, and the action starts and everything, like pretty much Caroline does offer like some funny moments here and there as well during the story and everything, especially like during the whole chase scene where she's complaining and everything as well too. And pretty much like I say, it's very hilarious that like a cricket field and everything only has this one ball and everything, and pretty much because of that, because of their one little mistake and everything, they pretty much lost that ball. And honestly, if they did, and honestly, honestly, you really can't help but to feel bad for Caroline and everything, because pretty much there would have been no doubt that like even if they didn't have. And pretty much, if they didn't find Stepney and everything, they were going to make. They probably would have used up all her gas and everything. They probably would have used up all their gas and just pretty much used her until the very last minute until they find this damn engine, and everything.
Yeah,
so
you think they would have a second ball, but nope. Apparently,
you know what? Like honestly, it would have been extra funny if like. Honestly, it would have been extra funny as soon as like Stepney and returns like both Caroline and the Quickers to the cricket field and everything. Pretty much one of the Quickers' wife or the mother like comes down and is just like, guys, I have a spare ball right here. I could just imagine Caroline just eyeing those crickets with the utmost death glare and everything, and the crickets are just like, hey, let's go back to the game, okay?
Let's go back to the game.
Yeah, let's go back to the game, okay? Don't worry, Caroline. So yeah. So pretty much like you. Honestly, yeah, I'm on the same boat with you in that. Like, I do like the TV series, like, slightly more. And like, honestly, if I was to listen to the TV series and everything, honestly, it would be for George Carlin, especially with the way he handles Caroline and everything. Like, I like honestly that southern voice he gives to Caroline and everything just makes that scene all the more extra funny.
Oh yes,
especially when it makes Caroline sound like, I shouldn't be treated like this. This pace is too high for my system. It'll fuse all my circuits.
And I especially like that he makes her say Yahoo!
Yahoo!
That silly train is gone. I can go home now.
So we can't catch him. I can go home now. And again, Matt's just like, nope. You're chasing after that engine. And Caroline's just like, god dang son of a bitch.
Okay, I love that illustration where you can see the hill, like it's very steep, and just listening to Caroline celebrating, and it's like Master's gonna have to be sensible and go home. It's like, oh yeah, boom, and he hits the gas.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much the Master pulls the SpongeBob and just floors it.
No.
Back it up!
Back it up!
Wrong way, SpongeBob, wrong way! Oh, back it up! And then back up into the hill.
Anyway, go ahead.
So yeah. I mean, honestly, at this point, I really don't have too much to say on the story because, like I said, in terms of the story overall in the book, it is the weakest for me, and honestly, the only real reason I would ever go back to this story is just like if I have to read it, or pretty much I just watch the TV series and of itself and everything. So for the story itself, honestly, as much as I didn't want to do this, I'm gonna have to give it a middle of the road 5, to be honest. I mean, like I said, it's not a bad story at the end of the day, but it's just one of those stories where it's just like, I would only read it if I have to and such. If I don't really have to read it, then honestly, honestly, this is one of those stories where it's just like,
to be completely honest with you, I don't blame you.
I mean, like, it's not like, a situation where, like, you can skip any story and, like, Gallon Old Engine and you'll be fine and everything, which, like I said, to give Gallon Old Engine credit and everything as well, too. Like, Wilbur actually did a very good job in making sure that, like, each and every one of those stories connected to each other in some way, shape, or form. Whereas pretty much with Train Stop Play, you can skip the story all of its own and practically you're going to miss nothing in the end.
Yeah, and I see what you mean. Yeah,
honestly, that's another reason why I like. This story kind of hurt. Which, like, that's another reason why the story falls flat to me. Where it's just like, again, it's not bad, but there's nothing really in it. Honestly, there's next to nothing in it that to where like to where I'm just like, oh boy, I get to read Train Stops Play again. Honestly, every time I see Train Stops Play again, I'm just like, oh, Train Stops Play. I guess I'll have to read it then.
Oh,
What?
This reminds me of the joke we said in episode 15, where I'm surprised. And how nice, sir? What is it, sir? Here you go. And it's
yeah. And then pretty. That's the same. That's the same way. That's the same way. That's the same way I am with Train Stops Play. Every time I see Train Stops Play, I'm just like, oh, it's you.
but nothing beats what I thought. What was my reaction to the surprise being Scarlovi? Nothing beats that.
Pretty much little Barney was just like, oh, it's you. Oh. What was going on? Little prick? Oh. You know what? I can actually 100% see Nancy actually doing something similar to that, just as a little joke. Pretty much I can imagine, like, she's waiting in the shed. Her dad's just like, hey, I got a surprise for you. What is it, Daddy? Close your eyes. And as soon as she sees Scarloy, she's just like, oh.
Oh.
Oh, well, okay, then. I guess you won't get to polish. You won't polish me today, bitch. Scarloy, I don't think you should be. Scarloy, I don't think you should be using that word in front of me.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah, you're right. Don't tell your dad about this, all right? Well, how about you let me polish you all night, and we'll keep this a secret. Deal? Should. You cursed in front of me again? Damn it! Did it again?
but yeah, I can understand why you will get that reaction with reading the story. Because I'll be honest with you, the book version, this is something I didn't want to reveal, but the first time I read it, I felt bored.
Honestly, Honestly, we could get this out of the way right here because this story actually perfectly sums up. But pretty much like Train Stops Play really sums up on like pretty much on how weak Willie Rushton did on this book overall and everything. Like pretty much compared to like the last books and everything as well too. Like he gets off some energy here and there, but honestly I did felt like he was bored with this book and everything.
You know what?
At the very least,
you talking about Willie Rushton, like you said. In Blue Balls of England, he was good. I'll give him that. It was good. He was
yeah.
good.
Yeah, he was like. Bluebells of England, he was definitely very good, especially at the beginning where he was just like, "The bluebells are coming, oh ho, the bluebells are coming, oh ho."
Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. In Stepney Special,
I mean, like at the same time, even with the 70 specials, he did okay in that story.
yeah, but I can't defend them on
Train Stops Play. Yeah, like Train Stops Play, like pretty much it just felt like he was just reading a story and nothing else.
Yeah, this one was bad. Like,
but I will admit, pretty much even in Bold Out, like he tries a little bit in Bold Out, but not as much, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, I can't defend him on Train Stops Play. I'm sorry, Willie Rushton, you're my favorite Railway series narrator, but yeah, you didn't do very good at Train Stops Play. I have to admit it.
You know what? Honestly, like this is actually one of the very few like books and stories where like I honestly would have loved to see like just what like Johnny Morris would have done with the story, especially like how pretty much I would love to see like how he would have voiced Caroline in the story and everything.
Oh, same here. There's a new Railway series narrator, by the way, in case you didn't know.
Yes, actually I did know a little bit. So far I haven't heard him yet and everything as well too. But honestly I do know about him. Yes.
I actually heard one of his narrations just to see how he would do. I listened to Bluebells of England, and honestly, he did really good. Much better than Rushton. Much better than Rushton.
Nice. Okay. Well, I might have to give him a listen sometime soon then.
Yeah, same here. I'll have to write it down so I can listen to him in the next couple of books. But yeah. Anyway, now we move on to the only story in the book, and I mean this for real. The only story in the book that actually made me laugh like crazy.
I mean, to be fair, yes. And not only did it make like Barney laugh and everything, but honestly, this last story right here, pretty much like might be one saving grace with the whole book and everything. But we'll just wait and see. Because here we go with Bold Out. So pretty much with Bold Out and such, we literally start right. We literally start when we see a new diesel about to be tested on the island of Soda and everything. And so pretty much as soon as Diesel comes to the shed and such and everything, pretty much right off the bat, you can tell what kind of diesel he's going to be. Like all snooty and everything, putting the steam engines down, bragging about like how much easier it is for diesels to start up when compared to the steam engines. He also takes it a step further and everything by pretty much saying that Chautauqua has to scrap all of them, and pretty much that's when the engines had enough and everything, and pretty much like they made such a noise and such that pretty much an inspector came and everything and had to try and stop the noise and such. So pretty much the following day and everything, that's basically when the engines and everything, the steam engines, held a meeting around the turntable and everything, and pretty much, and yes, honestly, I think this is the very last time that pretty much we're going to hear Gordon say disgraceful, James saying despicable, and Henry saying, oh wait, no, sorry, I got that wrong. So Gordon says disgraceful, James says disgusting, and Henry says despicable and everything. And pretty much also Donald Douglas also chimed in saying that like they wanted to pay the diesel out and everything. But honestly, no steam engine had any good ideas that didn't involve murder and everything. so pretty much they just decided to try to ignore the diesel and just go back to work. While Duck and Stepney stay in the yard and everything. And pretty much actually it's a very good thing they stayed in the yard because pretty much the diesel and everything. Pretty much it's just
I'm gonna call him Bowler because some Thomas fans have nicknamed the diesel Bowler.
Okay. So So I guess we'll get this out of the way right now. So some people call him a diesel. Some people call him Bowler. And pretty much in the TV series, or at least during the name board sequence, he's actually named Class 40 as well too. So so pretty much whatever you want to call the diesel and everything is up to you guys.
Yes.
But pretty much and everything. So okay, so you know what? As for me and everything, I'll call him class 40 and such. So
Fine.
pretty. All right, so pretty much, yeah. So class 40 is just getting ready and everything to go ahead and collect his coaches and such. Pretty much while he does that, a fitter pretty much makes some adjustments to him and everything. Inspector also comes and watch. But while he's watching and everything, the wind tugged the inspector's hat. And while he was trying to look at it, pretty much the diesel just pretty much makes a fool of himself. Because pretty much quite literally, as he just started and everything, and only after moving a few yards, he suddenly stopped. And pretty much stuck in Stepney saw the whole thing and everything. And okay, honestly, you know what? Like, both the TV series and the illustrations did a very good job on, like, you know, showing that image alone. Because like I said, I'll admit, even in the Railway series, both Governor and Edwards did a phenomenal job capturing that embarrassing look on the Diesel's face as soon as he stopped and such. Pretty much that's the face of someone doing something so embarrassing that pretty much they rather not talk about it and such.
I love in the TV series. I love in the TV series. Like in this moment, he rode proudly toward his coaches. Then it happened, and then you see it's like
It happened.
What? What?
And then pretty much the top hat's just like, God damn, how many Super Saiyan engines do I have on the railway?
I love, but that illustration is fantastic. I can't stress that at all.
I mean, like, honestly, like that illustration, that illustration mixed in with the writing as well too, where Duck and Stepney are just so sweetly ask the Diesel if he needs any help and such. Honestly, that's top tier comedy right there. Honestly,
Can we help you?
and that's just sweet karma and such.
I know, right? Perfect comeback.
And it actually doesn't stop right there, because after one funny scene and everything, they had to get one very epic. And I do honestly, you know what? Honestly, I know I gush about the TV series a lot and everything, but honestly, this is one moment right here where pretty much the book pretty much destroys the TV series with this scene right here. So pretty much with a class 40 out of commission and everything, Sir Topham Hatt pretty much acts as Duck to take the train and everything, and Stepney, not Sir Topham Hatt, Stepney himself actually wants to volunteer and help out, making Duck feel much better and everything, and even pleases the Falcon Controller so much that basically he made the arrangement happen. And yeah, with this epic scene right here, Duck and Stepney pretty much pulls the train smoothly out into the big station, and then they just bolted right along down the line, all the way towards the end of the station, where pretty much like Gordon will take it from here on out. And I mean, like I said, like the book itself pretty much destroys that scene, honestly. Because I'll be honest, like in the TV series, like because I'll be honest, like pretty much even if the TV series like. Even with some of the nice visual and even the music that the TV series had and everything, it does not compare to like the fantastic illustration that pretty much Governor and Peter Edwards did with that scene alone and everything. Honestly, especially the scene where you see Stepney and Doug whizzing past Edwards Station, that is top tier art right there.
I agree.
Pretty much that's another moment right. That's another moment right there where I feel that epicness happen. Pretty much, I feel that action happening right in front of my eyes, and I just get so pumped every time I see both that illustration and I read that very fantastic writing that Wilbur handles with that scene and everything. Pretty much like with Bluebell Engine, you feel that action with you, both in the words and in the illustration. So you know what? Big epic win to Wilbur right there. He deserves it.
Yes, agreed. We forgot one more thing about
Yeah. So don't worry. I'm going to explain this right now. So pretty much once they get to the big station and everything, that's when Gordon fills the 2 inches in about what actually happened with the class 40 and everything. And pretty much it was shown in the TV series earlier. So pretty much what happened was that like during when the fitter was like changing out the air tank and everything, that's when the inspector lost his hat because the diesel accidentally sucked it in through his air injection and everything, and that's the main reason why he could not move at all and such. And pretty much like as James said, he sicked his boiler sludge and was pretty much sulking in the shed, which pretty much earned a big laugh from the engines and everything.
Yeah, I especially love like the inspector's too busy to care. Cares more about the hat than doing a good job.
And honestly, you know what? Like, honestly, it's kind of ballsy that it's kind of ballsy for the fact control to tell the inspector off as well too. Pretty much just like bother your hat, all right? My hat always gets eaten by ghosts. Okay, you have no right to complain.
That's why I was laughing so hard when I read the story, because like apparently the inspector cares more about his stupid hat than doing a good job. So
don't forget, it's also like, you know, the same out of Solar too, where like first we have a barber that literally goes, "It's only an engine, you pussies," and then and not only that, we also have a very mad, you know, housewife and everything. That's just like, look what you done to my breakfast. I have to go to IHOP now. Bye. Can I drive you? So pretty much, yeah. This is the island soda where pretty much like we have talking trains and people only care about the smallest things in life that actually don't care about their own lives. So pretty much the story comes to an end and everything, where pretty much everyone says goodbye to Stepney and his controller and everything. Pretty much the entrance and even Shadabam has said, like, you know, hey, if you ever want to come by the island soda again, just let us know. But sadly, this is the only time that Stepney actually visits the island Sodor. At least it turns in the Railway series. In the TV series, he pretty much stays on the island Sodor for good and such.
And Donald and Douglas make everyone sing "Should all acquaintance," all ensign, whatever.
Pretty much, yes. But what about Diesel? Well, pretty much he slipped out. He slipped out the last night when no one was looking, but he left two things behind. A nasty smell of bad manners, which basically I like to imagine like he probably cursed all the way home and something and everything. So that was one thing he left behind. But another thing he left behind was a very old, battered hat.
And that's bold.
And yeah, that's bold out. Which, like I said, like the last story and everything, pretty much the same way. Pretty much the same way at how I was praising the last story in Gallo Engine. Again, this is a very good last story to end off with the book, get off the shelf and everything. And honestly, this is actually a very good way to end off the book, because like we said, like during the beginning of Bluebells of England and everything, and pretty much with the history portion as well too. Like pretty much Wilbur has hinted and everything that diesels are actually starting to pose a threat to steam engines, even the ones on the island of Sora as well too, in some way. So to have the last story be about another, you know, snooty diesel coming into the railway and everything. Pretty much a modern engine by the time, you know, the book was being made and everything. Being a test run while comparing to the very old engine that's actually visiting the railway Stepney. That's actually a very smart idea. Like pretty much there's lots of neat ideas you can actually play with a concept like that. And pretty much like with the concept that we're given and everything as well too, it's a very fun story through and through. Which like I said, honestly, this is one of the few times where I actually think like the book does a phenomenal job with the story than in the TV series.
I agree with you.
Yeah, although like I said, there are still some stuff in the TV series I actually still do enjoy. One of the things I actually do like in the TV series is that like pretty much I do like that at least the top of my head gets like a bit of a build up to like, you know, who this diesel engine could be and everything. And pretty much as soon as you see this diesel engine, like pretty much you side with like the steam engines as well too, just with how rude and how snooty this diesel engine is.
I'd be on their side, and I'd be cursing the diesel as like, "Fuck you, motherfucker! You go ahead and fuck yourself."
Pretty much, I can just picture Bart, you know, having a tomatoes ready and everything, and just throwing at the diesel's face and such.
I'd be like that, cause I'd be like that. But go ahead, we don't have to talk about my ego.
But yeah, but yeah, I actually do like that and everything. But yeah, the book actually destroys the TV series and everything, because like I said, wow, what amazing illustration both Governor and Edwards did with the actually Governor and Peter, that both Governor and Peter actually made with this final story as well too, especially right at the beginning, like, you know, from the beginning, and especially with the whole scene of like Duck and Stepney getting into the train to Gordon State. again, I felt that action and everything. Like you really feel that action, like coming through you into the story and everything. And just and honestly, it just gets me excited every time that I read it and everything. So that's a very good sign right there and such. And like I said, the writing too is very good. It's a very good writing and everything. Like the comedy is just really on point with the story as well too. Especially seeing the Diesel getting his just desserts as well too for breaking down and basically having Doug and Stephanie basically teasing him in a sort of way that that also makes him seem innocent enough as well too, which again is actually very funny as well. But yeah, honestly, I really don't have too much anything to say on the story in of itself. Like it's just a very fun, epic story through and through and everything. And again, it's a very good final story to end of the book as well too for what it is. Now, like I said, the only real nitpick I have with the story, as well as just the book itself overall, I kind of do wish that basically we would have got to see Stephanie's controller a little bit more in the book as well too, because pretty much through and through, honestly, you could just read him out of the book entirely, and honestly, nothing would change. To be honest, because like I said, he really doesn't do. Go ahead.
And like I said, it's impossible to tell his controller and the Fat Controller apart in some of the illustrations. It's impossible to tell them apart sometimes.
Pretty much, yeah. So, like I said, you could have written the controller out, and honestly, nothing would have really changed in the story, to be honest. But honestly, yeah, like I said, overall and everything, the story is just really that dang good. That honestly, you know what, I'm gonna give it a 10. It deserves it.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I really outside of the controller part, honestly, the controller part is really just such a very small, minor detail and everything that honestly, when you read the rest of the book and everything, it's just a very fun story through and through. And honestly, every time that I read the story and everything, I just feel like I had fun the whole way through and everything. And honestly, that's a good sign right there. So you know what? For the final story of this book, it's going to get a 10 for me.
Nice. I actually didn't see that 10 coming, honestly. I was expecting an 8 or a 9, but wow, this is the first time you actually shocked me with a 10. Wow.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't blame you one bit. This story is fantastic, and it's like I said, it's the only story in the book that actually made me laugh like crazy. The only one. And it saved and also saved the book for me. And wow. That illustration where Stepney is, passing by our station. Every time I see it, I just get goosebumps because I can feel the energy that Stepney has in that illustration. And honestly, yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think the book version demolishes the TV version by a long shot.
It does. It really does.
And yeah, I think you said everything I was gonna say once again. The only thing I negative I have is, like I said, the controller part. But honestly, that's just a minor nitpick. But I don't have too much to say because you pretty much said everything I was gonna say. So for Bold Out, and again, I'm taking the illustrations into account. For Bold Out, I'm gonna give Bold Out a 9. It really deserves it.
Oh, interesting. Actually, hey, it's just like you said at the end of the day, a 9 is still a very great rating at the end of the day.
It is. It really is. And honestly, to me, Bold Out is the only story from the book that besides sometimes Bluebells of England, that I will come back to the story. I mean, yeah. To be honest, honestly, Bold Out is the highlight of this book. Honestly, the only real reason I would even bother to read this book, even from start to finish, is just to read Bold Out through and through and everything. I'm with you on that. Because the other two stories are meh, but Bold Out, just for Bold Out alone, I'd buy this book. If I didn't own it, I'd buy it just for that story alone.
Same here, honestly. Same here.
And well,
but yeah, all right. So we talked about and rate all 4 stories of the book. So now let's see how we felt about Stepney the Bluebell Engine overall.
Now let me go first.
So I believe.
Let me go first.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to say, did we go first for you? Did we go first for you and Gallon, or did we go first for me and Gallon?
No, I actually we went with me first. So you go first.
Okay. So I'll go first. Okay. So all right. So I added on my ratings and everything. The final rating of Stepney the Bluebell Engine, it got a 29 out of 40. So pretty much with that, it gets a 72%. So a C actually, which, hey, honestly, you know what? I'll take it, you know? Yeah, honestly, like I said, going into this book and everything, like, I did, honestly, I did have a feeling, like I said, it was going to be the weakest story out of season 3, but I also knew that going in, like, even if it was weak, it was nowhere near going to be a very bad book by a long shot. Honestly, this is really how I do feel about Stepney the Bluebell Engine overall. It's just pretty much a very middle of the road book, is what it is. It's not really all that spectacular, but like, you know, for the stuff that is good about this book, like it pretty much like gives this book a much needed upgrade, like as best that it can.
Yes, definitely. And my score is basically the same as yours. 29 out of 40.
Oh, okay. Actually, yeah. Let's add up. Yeah, let me add up yours real quick. So I believe for the first story you gave it a 7, right?
Yeah, that's Bluebells of England. Bluebells of England was a 7. That's correct.
All right, and I know for the second one was a 6.
Yes, a 6.
Train stop play. Which rating did you give to that one again?
That was a 7.
That was a 7. All right, and bowled out, and actually, yeah, it is a 9. So yeah, so pretty much, yeah, you are right. We did tie. So pretty much, both you and me gave this book a C.
And
pretty much a standard C.
I'll take it, to be completely honest with you. I just feel like I know some fans are gonna be very upset with us, but to be completely honest,
I mean, to be fair, this to be expected because, like I said, you know, Stephanie is a very fan favorite character, and hey, you know what, like. Pretty much like we said, like there is a very good reason on why Stepney is like a very good character in both like the Railway series and even the TV series. Because honestly, I was very worried about this going in. I was very worried that like I wasn't gonna have that much to say about Stepney himself as a character. Well, mostly because that like, you know, I just gotten so used to him as a kid that like honestly sometimes even I forget like what makes Stepney a very good character, but the moment that we started reading the book and everything, and I got to know a little bit more about Stepney himself as a character, no, there is actually a very good reason why he is a fan favorite. Because like you said, he is just that likable. He actually has a very energetic, innocent, determined personality that like you just can't help but to like. You just can't help but to like this engine through and through and everything.
Definitely, I agree with you. Like I also like Stepney. Stepney's one of my favorite characters from both the book and the TV series.
Yeah, like I said, same here. Pretty much, like I said, you could have told me that like Stepney was made in like the 20th century and not the 19th century, and I pretty much, like I said, I definitely would have believed you 100% because, like I said, for a very old engine and everything, he is pretty much he has so much more energy to him compared to compared to all the other old engines we've seen on the Railway series up until this point and such.
Oh, definitely, absolutely. But to be completely honest with you, his book, you know, kind of felt underwhelming in some aspects.
It did, like, honestly, like I think like what really like again, like we're not really saying like ruins the book overall because like I said, we're not calling this a bad book by a long shot and such. But pretty much, yeah, like what Barney is getting at here and everything. Pretty much what we mean about like this book being overwhelming and everything. Like, I think it's. Or at least like underwhelming, yes. Pretty much we're both so used to like Stepney in the TV series as well as watching some of the episodes like he starred in the TV series as well too. That pretty much going into the book version and everything, like and now like I said, I knew going in and everything I like it wasn't gonna be like my fan favorite book and everything. But at the same time, like I was actually very excited to get to Stepney's book and at least talk about it and everything as best we can. And I didn't know that like train stop play, like it was a good idea that train stop play was going to be the weakest. But like I said, once I read that story like over and over and everything, and thinking on it critically and everything, pretty much train stop play. It's pretty much a great example of a story that is very underwhelming at the end of the day and everything. Because like pretty much what this book is, it's just pretty much more slice of life is what it is. Like like there are some action. There is some action going on within at least the book some of the times, especially like when we get to like the last half of the story. But pretty much like because the first half of the story is pretty much like more information and everything, like it. I think that's also where the underwhelming part comes in as well too. which I mean, like, hey, it's not really a bad thing that like Wilbur's giving us like more information about like both Bluebell Railway as well as like the engines that like run the Bluebell Railway as well. But pretty much because of that information as well too, like there are some moments where it does actually miss like a few little potential like good story moments, or at least like a good storyline here and there and everything. That pretty much I think is another reason why this book feels underwhelming to some people.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I said, if you read this book like non-critically, like you read it for fun, it's a really good book. A really good book. But analyzing it critically, especially stories like Stepney Special and Train Stops Play, that's when you start to see the flaws of the book. If this book gets a C, like it said, if this book got a C, I'll take it, honestly. That's better than a D or an F. I'll take it.
Yeah, because I mean, like honestly, like a C, like honestly, really does sum up like how I feel about the book overall. Like, because like I said, like at the end of the day, it's just a very middle of the road book, is what it is. It's nothing really all that grand and spectacular. Like, especially when compared to the books we've read before, and especially the books we're going to see after this one and everything. But at the same time, there's nothing really in it that's like bad or boring per se and everything. Like like I said, there are still some fun parts within the story. There are still a couple of very funny moments and funny interactions, like like with Percy and Douglas, or Stephanie and Thomas, or and pretty much like I said, Bold Out is a story that like pretty much saves this book from giving it like a bad rate and such, because like. But pretty much, could you imagine, like, if we ended up giving this book a D, pretty much a D instead?
Oh,
that would have been very interesting.
If we ended up giving this book a D, we would have been canceled immediately.
We probably would have and everything. Like, because like I said, pretty much if Bold Out was not as good, or at the very least, if it was mediocre like the rest of the story, there was a very good chance it would have ended up being a D and such. But because both you and me gave it a 10 and a 9 respectively and everything, I think we could safely say that story is the main reason it saved pretty much the story was the main reason the book saved itself from getting a D.
Yeah, pretty much. Now I'm very interested to see where this book is gonna rank, not only when we do the tier list, but when we also do that finale video.
Honestly, a little spoiler for me and everything. Honestly, thinking about it, long and hard and everything, I think I am very comfortable. In putting Stephanie's book in C tier and such, because like I said, reading it and everything, it's not bad, but honestly, it's one of those books where it's like I need to be in a certain mood to read it and such.
Yeah.
Pretty much, especially like if I want to read it all the way through and everything, like. Pretty much, if I'm only going back to that book for just that one story alone and nothing else and everything, then pretty much is only fitting that like it's going to be in the middle of the. It's going to be like one of those mediocre books and such.
Before I left for my small vacation of 1 week, I read the book once and I struggled to pick it up again because like I said, I'm not joking about this. I literally struggled to pick it up.
I mean, to be fair, I believe you, because like I said, pretty much as soon as I picked up the book and everything as well too, especially the first 3 stories alone, I just basically like looked at my computer screen and I'm like, what am I even gonna say to these stories? Because I mean, like, to be fair, like like I had some idea what I wanted to say to the first 2 stories, but then when I got to Train Stops Play, I was just like, I kind of got nothing for the story, honestly. Like, because I mean, like I said, it's one of those stories where it's like it's not bad, but like there's nothing really in it that makes me want to read it again, honestly.
And honestly, when I came back from my vacation and you told me that you read the book, I was like, I really do not want to read that book again. I really don't want to go back to it. But because I made a commitment and I have to commit to it.
Pretty much, I can just imagine Barney as soon as he comes home. Pretty much it's almost equivalent to like a parent telling their child to go to the room and everything, and Barney's just like, I don't want to read that book again, mommy, don't make me do it.
Don't make me do it, please.
Don't make me do it. And then pretty much Mama Barney is just like, you're gonna read that book and you're gonna like it, son.
But yeah, I honestly did not want to pick it up. Like I was struggling to pick it up because like I was like, what the fuck am I even gonna say about Stepney Special or Train Stops Play? Besides, I appreciate Bluebells of England and Bold Out, but Stepney Special and Train Stars Play were bad. Well, technically not very bad, but I was
well, I mean, like, they're not bad, but at the very least, we could call them mediocre at best.
Mediocre. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, thank you. Mediocre. But so I don't want to pick up this book. I already know what I'm gonna say about. I don't even know what I'm gonna say about Stepney Special and Train Stars Play. I honestly did not want to pick the book up. Like, I was struggling, and when I did pick it up and start reading it, I was like, you know what, Willie Rushton, I beg of you, please save this book for me, please.
And then pretty much was the same thing. Pretty much was the same thing as with me as well. Like, pretty much once I listened to his narration, I was just like, yeah, okay. Now I'm starting to remember why. I'm sometimes hit and miss with you.
Yeah, I honestly thought the same thing. And when I was listening to Willie Rushton's narrations in for Stepney Special and Train Stars Play, I was actually like, come on, hurry up! I want to get the stories over with. Because I was struggling to keep my mood. I was struggling to read those stories and my mood was souring when I was reading those stories.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just one of those where it's just like, again, outside of Bold Out, like, honestly, like, honestly, it's one of the few times where, honestly, like, for the first 3 stories, honestly, I think we'd have a much more easier time looking at the TV series version than the book version, honestly.
Yeah, and smart move to Brett and David for actually, making them into two separate episodes. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end for Stepney the Bluebell Engine. And I'm gonna say this. I'm just going to talk about Gumber Peter Edwards because I'm already sick of talking about Stepney Special and Train Stars Play.
Go ahead.
For their first book, already I'm impressed with them. Just by looking at the first illustration of Bluebells of England, I'm already impressed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already impressed by their work.
Same here, honestly. Like, pretty much like. Pretty much like I said, the moment I saw those illustrations, and pretty much again, like I think what really won me over with them was Bold Out through and through, because like I said, once I saw those illustrations with Bold Out and everything, I was just like, okay, yeah, you know what? Actually, yeah, you know what? I'm actually very excited to actually look at the illustrations from the next few books and everything, especially with one book coming up that I am so pumped to read and everything. I'm actually getting very excited to read this next book coming up.
I am very excited as well. And looking at the first illustration of Bold Out, like you know that we said that Gumber was having a difficult time. I don't blame her. Like, looking at the illustration, yeah, it looks very complex. Looking at it.
I mean, yeah, it does look very complex. Even trying to do so on a card that, like, pretty much on a camera that she was given at and everything as well too. It's just pretty much like I don't really blame her and everything for pretty much wanting some help as well too.
Yeah, especially and it was thanks to her husband Peter. Peter did most of the work and he did a solid job through and through. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of episode 19 for Stepney the Bluebell Engine. I'll be honest, before we started recording this episode, I was like, I was not looking forward to doing this episode. Because after the horrible experience I had desperately trying to put a good mood reading the book, I was like, okay, now I'm very terrified as to what this book is gonna get.
Honestly, like, I think this is the closest in terms of season 3. I think this is the closest equivalent we're going to get to something like, James the Red Engine or even Gordon the Big Engine as well and everything.
Yes.
But at the end of the day and everything, we still gave it a middle of the road C. So at the very least, we could say that this is an average book, which honestly, it's still not that bad when you think about it.
No,
because honestly, it could have gotten a much worse rating. Pretty much again, had we not given Bold Out the highest rating that we ever could have gotten and everything, there was a very good chance we were very close to giving that book a D. It was that close, honestly.
We'd be crucified if we gave this book an F. We'd be crucified right now.
Although, to be fair, like, even with the first 3 ratings and everything, honestly, if both you and me were to give Bold Out something like an 8, I don't think that would have been enough to give it an F. Like, honestly, yeah. Let me take a look real quick. Just what it would be. So I'm gonna use my rating real quick because I'm actually very curious on this one. Okay, so if I would have given it an 8, I would have had a 27 out of 40, and if that was the case, oh yeah, okay. So pretty Okay, so pretty much both you. All right, so pretty much both you and me needed that 9 or a 10 because if I would have given it an 8, it would have been like a 67%. So technically, it would have been a D had I given Bold Out an 8. Had I given Bold Out an 8, it would have been a D.
So thank God we gave it a good rating.
Although I am so curious for you as well too. So yeah, Bold Out. Okay, so if you would have given Bold Out an 8, you would have had a 28. You would have had a 28 out of 40. So you would have been one. You would have been one rating higher than me. So 28 out of 40. You still would have given a C. Actually, yeah, you would have given a solid 70%. So you still would have given it a C at the end of the day.
Well, you would have given it a low D.
Well, I would have given it a D. So yeah. So yeah. That doesn't tell you just how close to like. That doesn't tell you just how close this book was to like. If it was going to get an average or slightly below average rating, well, there you go.
Yeah, it was very close to getting a D. Very close. If we
were very close. We were very close.
So yeah, you could put those pitchforks down. We at least give it a C. So
yes.
put the flames out and
pretty much like Barney and I said at the end of the day and everything. Pretty much if you do disagree with our opinions or our ratings and everything, then like that's totally fine and such. Because like we said at the end of the day and everything, like if you still like the story and the book for what it is at the end of the day, continue to like it for all that it's worth and everything.
Yeah, like we always say, there's nothing wrong with liking a book that we don't like. If you like it, that's completely fine.
Pretty much, yeah. Like that's one of the beauties when it comes to media and everything as well too. Like pretty much, sometimes you can learn a lot. Sometimes you can learn a lot from a person based on like what type of shows, what type of books, and even what type of movies they usually like and such.
Yeah, pretty much. Like you said, there's nothing wrong with liking a book we don't like. If you like this book, that's great. If you don't like it, that's also good. But
yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm just gonna say like, it was a very fun episode. This episode was a lot of fun to film, I will say, because I actually managed to change my opinion on Stepney Special. Going into this episode, I was originally gonna give Stepney Special a 4.
Mm-hmm.
But after
okay. Actually, you know what? It's a good thing you didn't, because I have a good idea. If you would have given that a 4, I think that also would have played a fact that you almost would have given that book a D. So pretty much an almost solid D right there. Had you still given the second story a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, it would have been a high D. Yeah, I just calculated it would have been a D, and I would have been crucified.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to say anything else before we wrap up?
Nothing really. Like I said, pretty much going in this episode, honestly, going in, like I was very interested in going into this episode and talking about this book with you because honestly, I was also very interested to see like what rating we were going to give this book, like in the end and everything. Because like I said, like I knew going in with the book and everything that like it was going to be an average book at the end of the day, but I didn't know how average it was going to be. And yeah, like I said, like. Pretty much once we had given a grades and everything, like honestly, I was very I'm very satisfied with the grade I'm giving it with, which is again a C and everything, which like I said, a C perfectly sums up my feelings for this book, like overall and everything.
Yeah, and thank God for Bold Out. If it wasn't for Bold Out, we'd be crucified.
Yeah.
We'd be crucified right now.
Right.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all enjoyed episode 19's our review of Stepney the Bluebell Engine. Like we said, this was a very fun episode to film, and I hope you guys had a lot of fun listening to us ranting about a children's book.
Pretty much. Well, actually, somewhat ranting about a children's book, but honestly, we can call this episode like listening to us being bored about a children's book until the very last story.
Yeah, and honestly, this is the very first time. This is something I noticed. This is the very first time, besides that time where I talked about like I struggled to finish Troublesome Trucks. That this is the first time since James the Red Engine where I actually struggled to read a book. Like this is the very
pretty much time. Yeah. Like I mean, honestly, yeah, same here. Like honestly, yeah. When you think about it, this is the first time in a while where pretty much like kind of both you and I like felt a little bored, like pretty much with Stepney's book again until we got the Bold Out and everything. But pretty much the first 3 stories, like this is the first time that pretty much. Both you and me kind of were struggling a little bit just to try to figure out what to say about some of these stories because I was just gonna say because like I said, the stories are not bad. It's just like they didn't really give us that much. They really didn't offer us. They really didn't offer too much for us to at least like try to find some way to talk about it and everything.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I really did not want to pick this book up again. After I read it before I left for a small vacation, I really did not want to pick it up again. Like I was struggling. Like sometimes I looked at the Thomas the Tank Engine Centenary library that I own, and I was looking at it like, should I? Nah. And then the next day, should I? Nah. And then I kind of forced myself to do it. Like, you know what? Let's do it because I want to get this book out of the way.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So yeah, this is.
But hey, once we get to the next story and everything, like I said, the next story, I'm very looking forward to talking about it. This is the book where pretty much I was waiting so long to finally talk about it after so long and everything.
Oh yeah, me too. I've never talked about the next book before. This is the very first time I'm actually going to talk about it because I'm very excited. For
pretty much, folks, from here on out, the next two stories that we're going to talk about in the Railway series, they were never adapted into TV series. So pretty much the next book and the book after that is all going to be original stories and such.
So yeah, I'm very looking forward to it. So ladies and gentlemen, join us next week. No, not next week. Join us next month when we
next month. Yeah, join us next month.
Yeah, but that's
pretty much join us next month. Join us next month, where Barney and I are going to climb a very steep mountain, and as we keep on climbing, it's going to get very windy. And pretty much the windier it gets, pretty much we're both going to hope that. Pretty much one of us is going to hope that we wish there was a railway here, so they can take us up the mountain.
What's up, folks? I'm Coldy.
So yeah, pretty much next month we're going to go visit the Caldy Fell Railway with Mountain Railway, or at least Mountain Engines.
Mountain Engines.
Yeah, Mountain Engines.
So anyway, folks, thank you all so much for watching this episode of the Really Useful Podcast. If you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you guys want to see episode 20, hit the subscribe button as well. Also, don't forget, if you like the Wiggles, check out our Wiggles podcast. It's a Wiggly podcast, which will be linked in the description below. And also, don't forget to check out our separate channels, OT+7 for me and Sequoia Diesel for Sequoia. Both channels, again, will be in the description below. And also, make sure to, if you also want to learn more about Stepney, check out that video that Terrier 55 Stepney did about him. It's a really good video, and we highly recommend it. So anyway, folks, this has been Bonnie with
Sequoia Diesel, saying
thank you for watching, and we'll be seeing you guys next month for book 19, where we take a look at Mountain Engines. So until then, everybody, take care.
Yes.
So until then, take care, everybody, and we'll see you guys next month.